And we are back with another episode of Beyond the Smile. It's our podcast for the nonprofit Diversity in Dentistry Mentorships. And we have a huddle where we are joined with our mentees with dentists of color to inspire them with their experience and stories of leadership and resilience, persistence, all the game plan tools they need so that they can succeed in dentistry and beyond. And I am thrilled to introduce you to a colleague and friend of mine, Dr. Christina Meiners, who is the newly elected president of the Hispanic Dental Association. So congratulations, Dr. Meiners.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I mean, I know we were chatting because you are still working full time. and I definitely will talk about the community clinic that you're working in as adjunct professor as well, too, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And then all the responsibilities as the president and fulfilling the mission of Hispanic Dental Association. And of course, the mentor of mentors. And that's how we got connected. If you remember, I mean, I just was so grateful when we had the opportunity to connect. And that was during the pandemic in 2020. And we were just kind of growing the nonprofit. And someone, Dr. Adriana Segura, she's my attending when I was in University of Texas, San Antonio. And she said, "Oh, I know the person I need to connect you with." And it was you. And
Right.
sure enough, and you were so busy working that you were still in the clinic, went in the car, still in your scrubs and cap, and conducted the meeting just in your short little.
My office, my car.
Right. As moms and working moms, I always call it our mobile office. Well, we have so much to talk about in a short amount of time, but I would love for you to start just kind of in the beginning of your story, because I know you were born and raised in the Rio Grande Valley area. And I was going to ask, how that inspired you to go into dentistry and definitely public health and just give us your story, because then I want to see how that just grew into you to become such a leader in our profession.
Yeah. So this isn't ever the path I thought for myself, but my story starts in the womb, as cliche as it may be. I'm a registered nurse. And so while she was studying for her bachelor's in nursing, she was pregnant with me. So I always said my earliest lullabies were her reading her Grey's Anatomy and textbooks. So I guess that's where the love of it started. Growing up, I love science, and I kind of gravitated towards those subjects. But my mom as well was kind of my first mentor and the biggest influence on my life too. She, as a nurse, she was the only one of 9 to pursue a career in medicine or in healthcare. And in the time in the 60s, for her, that was kind of, going that far. Being Hispanic and more being a female, it wasn't a choice or an option at her time in a way for her to pursue further than that. Right. So I grew up always hearing that you'll be the doctor. I couldn't be. That was kind of her little mantra that stuck with me. And as nurses, if you have one in your family, they are the kind of doctors of the family. Everybody was always calling, somebody's sick, somebody has a cough, somebody has a boo-boo. What do we do?
She was always on call.
She was always on call.
You're right.
So she's the doctor of our family. And I just kind of grew up with that, like one day you're going to be a doctor. And for me, it was, in the beginning, it started as pre-med. And that was kind of the vision and what I saw for myself and what she wanted for me too. And going through, high school classes, I even saw like the pre-health camps because, I did good in the science, but that's what I liked. So I had opportunities to attend some pre-health camps. And through all of those, I never really saw dentistry as an option or presented as an option in any of them. It was always the different specialties in medicine.
It's presented still to this day.
Yeah, that's what it is. It wasn't until I got braces myself and I had an orthodontist and saw, that nice work-life balance, the change that it made for me as well. I went from, snaggletooth kid to, and I wish I could share pictures with you because it's true. I was in braces for 4 years, so I was either a non-compliant patient or it was really bad.
Yeah, well, I had a really big diastema, so I don't know. I have one up you.
I'm still in crossbite, so I don't know.
Okay.
So, but the change that it made with me from being that kid that like hid behind a smile or didn't smile to finally being able to be confident about it and wanting to share that with other people. So for me, it was, I saw the change it made with me and I wanted to make that change and be that change for someone else too. So I kind of switched to dentistry as being an option. I shadowed him over the summer, and he was fortunate enough to open his office to me and let me do that during the summer and come in. And that's from there on, it was like, okay, what do I got to do the dental side of this? I went to undergrad and I applied for the dental early acceptance program. And so by the age of 18, I had a conditional acceptance letter to dental school saying that as long as I got stayed good with my grades and straight and narrow, that I would have a place for me.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. They still have the DEAP program in San Antonio? Okay.
In San Antonio here, and it's a lot of it is to kind of help open up more pathways for, you know, some of it's in more of the underserved areas as well, some of the colleges that participate in that program. So for me, yeah, and that's my advice to students, look for programs like that as well too. Yeah. So for me, that's where my path led. I can kind of go on, it kind of goes into the next, what inspired me to kind of go health. So in my undergraduate, I volunteered a lot in the Christian Medical and Dental Association. And as a college student, a lot of times on those mission trips, we went to border town Mexico and went, you know, across the border to Mexico at that time too. And as a college student, you know, most of the time you're stuck taking the blood pressures or you're just, you know, passing out toothbrushes to everybody. But growing up in the Valley and knowing Spanish and being Hispanic, I was able to actually serve as a translator. So that put me on the front lines. I called myself the professional hand holder. You know, I was able to be right there holding patients' hands as they were going through some of these procedures. Yeah. And if you've been on mission trips, you know kind of how it is. I mean, you have patients that have, you know, walked 3-4 miles to get there. They've waited all day in line to be seen.
Around the corner, I'm sure.
And you're in there in like little lawn chairs folded up under a tree or in some little kindergarten school that got turned into a dental office.
Flashlights. Did you have flashlights too? Yeah.
So being a student and kind of being able to be a little immersed in that, you know, it just kind of, it hit for me that this is kind of what I wanted to do, you know, being able to make these patients feel more comfortable with the procedures they were going through, as comfortable as you could be in a lawn chair under a tree in 100-degree weather. But it's a very vulnerable, dentistry itself is very vulnerable, and being in that position, getting dental care is even more vulnerable. And if you're not able to, you know, communicate with the doctor that's doing it, you know, here was me, little 19-year-old, 18-year-old kind of coming in and doing my best I could. I wasn't the best at Spanish at that time.
Okay.
But doing what I could to make them feel more comfortable. And it was the visual shoulder release of stress. Like they're tense and scared and all of a sudden they're like,
for sure. Yeah. Just knowing that there's someone there that, it's there one to hold their hand and understand and communicate and make sure that they're getting that equity of care that we all seek, you know, to make sure they're able to communicate what they need and what the pain is. Well, I can definitely see that has been such a source that birthed the service in you. And I know you've done so much service and been awarded 10 under 10 awards from American Dental Association and so many accolades that we'll have in the description. But the leadership, though, it had started very early. When you say that you jumped right in, I didn't feel like you wanted to just wait and kind of work your way up. It looks like because they saw your potential and your dedication and passion that it just gravitated to these organizations that they needed you to lead.
Yeah. And I never envisioned that. I never thought I'd be here as president right now. I really joined as a student because they went on the mission trips, because they went to little elementary schools and passed out toothbrushes, and that's what I love to do. And then when I graduated and went into private practice, actually my first 2 years, on my days off that I had, I was going to the career days at the elementary schools, passing out toothbrushes. On the weekends, I was finding the health fairs that I could volunteer at and do things, just because that's what I love doing. So I think it was kind of born of service. So born out of service. One of my things that I like to say is I see a need. If I saw a need, I took the lead. And so I found a way to, incorporate those career days into, what is now our BOLD program and what we're doing with the students. I saw ways in leadership that, changes that could be made. We didn't have a diversity committee when I started in our local dental society. Right. And so that was something that I saw that needed to change, though that was the biggest feedback that I saw when people were going to meetings, that, they didn't feel comfortable going because nobody really looked like them there. There wasn't any age-wise, sex-wise or culture-wise, or race-wise. Right. So it was kind of just, well, what can we do to change that? And sometimes it's as simple as just saying, doing that. Well, okay, what can we do? Let's make a diversity committee. Let's talk about it. If they're not making
start the conversation,
we can do it ourselves. And you'd be surprised how these organizations want that. A lot of times they're set in their agendas and their ways until somebody comes in and can change it. And they actually want that. They want people to participate and to help them with that change.
All right. Yeah. And just because having all those different perspectives will only just enhance and amplify the mission of those organizations. But yes, you brought up BOLD, building our leaders in dentistry. Tell us how is it its inception, how it came about, and I know it's now adopted by the Hispanic Dental Association. Just recently at SmileCon in Houston last October, you served 300 high school students that came through. Kind of paint the picture for us, like how did it get started? Has it grown? And I mean, I just know it's so fulfilling. Just we share a same passion for our mentees.
And I think that's just how it was born. It was, we're all doing career days, we're all doing this, but are we counting the metrics? Are we seeing the impact that it's making? Or what can we do to make it better? Or, be on the same page with these. And so it really just started as, let me make a PowerPoint presentation. Let me make a cute little sticker of a happy tooth and a sad tooth. And let's go out and do these presentations. And then really seeing they're trying to gauge, at the beginning of the presentation, how many of you have ever considered, dentistry as a career? And then at the end, nobody raises their hand sometimes in the beginning, but by the end of the presentation, you get those hands come up and people more interested in it. And so those students are engaged and interested. Well, I want to follow up with you. What can I do, to keep this connection going, to make, for me, it started because I had that opportunity to have braces. So I was open to this career and it's changed my life. What about that kid that doesn't get braces? What about that kid that never went to the orthodontist and never went to the dentist and had this opportunity for them? So it was really born of even starting just, we always saw these pipeline programs or these outreach to high school kids. And so for me, it was like, well, let's go before that. Let's go back down to middle school. Let's go down to all the way to Head Start. Let's start there to say, hey, you can be a female and be a doctor. Hey, you can be, your dentist is a doctor. And just opening that little light bulb for them that maybe one day they can do it too. So that's really kind of where it started for me, where it's come from, the career days component to it, to doing more, linking them with mentors in their area to kind of shadow in offices, do dental school tours, hold little lunch and learns with them. We have webinars on, how to study and prepare for the DAT, your resume prep, interview prep, and then just trying to keep that relationship with them, so that they can, one, be, successful dental applicants, but also be successful once they get into dental school. And a lot of times that's where the mentorship sometimes stops because they get so busy. But we try and, keep connected with them so that they can, at the end when they graduate, they come back and be my little bold people that are, influencing the next generation.
That is great. Well, how does the school get involved, or is it the societies in each state, affiliates of HDA go into the schools? How does that get connected?
So really it's just like it's kind of, what do we call it? Grassroots, you go to this. I like to try to say focus on the underserved areas, and a lot of the Head Starts from in these areas are already in underserved areas. And so I try to say, making sure we're making those connections with those schools. Some of the schools already have like dental assisting type programs too, that we've partnered with, or pre-health type programs. And so we're trying to partner with them as well. During COVID and the pandemic, it took a hard hit. It was different. Schools are slowly coming back and opening their doors. But the beauty of our technology is you can do it all virtual too. So I was here like brushing teeth and doing this presentation on my little iPad, and I'm still trying to keep the dream alive and keep it going.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And even the mentorship is, so that's pretty much how we're online too, as far as the one-on-one mentorship. So that is great. And the dental students in different schools can continue as mentors with them if a student chooses. Well, that is great. I mean, I know it's touching lives, and I know just working to kind of move the needle a bit so that we can build a diverse group of applicant pool of students for dental school, so they don't have any question of having any candidates to choose from, right? So that we can just build up a dental workforce that really reflects that of our nation. So, I mean, it's going to take organizations like all of ours and even more to continue to do that. And I know that there's many of our colleagues that really understand the importance of diversity, but how do you feel our dental community is doing as far as bringing in inclusion and belonging too?
I think we're getting there. We still have a long way to go. But the fact that there's even, a council on diversity, a diversity committee at the ADA level, the fact that there is, Spanish speaker tracks that they've started to include in their programs, the fact that they're even asking the question of like, what can we do more? Right. So I think we're stepping into the right direction. I think yes, there's a way to go. But I think they're starting to be open to collaboration more. They're starting to, partner with us on programs like this, and just conversations like this, where we're working together. We don't have to do it alone. It's much harder alone. And when you have these bigger organizations that have these big resources, being able to tap into that, even being an alumni of the Institute for Diversity and Leadership. And so that itself, that type of program where we're hopefully creating more diverse leaders, or inspiring more at least, and giving them the tools to be successful leaders. So I think that we're doing good. What more can we do? If we take it down to our dental offices, even how can we help embrace diversity in our own offices and with our teams? Definitely, I've always talked about, hiring more diverse staff. Making sure that you have someone on your staff that's a little bit reflective, so that maybe you don't speak Spanish, but someone in your front office can help and be there for that patient to make them feel comfortable and welcome.
Definitely, that's a community that you're serving too.
Looking into ways to maybe taking Spanish courses. They have those available now. We have our dental training Spanish courses, beginner up to advanced levels. That's something that you and your team can take together, looking at having your pamphlets, your forms in your office being available in Spanish as well. Because sometimes these patients won't admit that they can't read what's in front of them. They'll just sign it. And so some of the language barrier, what the words mean, and they will nod away like they understand what you're saying, and they have no clue. So having something presented to them to make them more comfortable in your office too. Taking the cultural awareness and competence classes. We're seeing a lot more of those, and I like seeing that. And sometimes people are like, oh, another cultural awareness topic, or another diversity topic. But engaging your staff to be engaged in those and taking those, and there's always something to learn different in each of those courses. And broadening your own portfolio. Joining the NDA, joining the HDA. For us, you don't have to be Hispanic to be a part of the Hispanic Dental Association. Our mission is to serve the Hispanic population and other underrepresented communities. So it's not that you are that, it is that you're there to help that community and open doors for and access to care for them. So we welcome you as members as well. And I think when you're part of our membership, you can, that's something that you can relate to with your patients more and learn more. I'm frozen.
I'm just a little lag.
Yeah, I was like, uh-oh, I'm frozen.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know, no, but I got everything. That was, so many great tangible steps and things that we can do. And I love that you share that the doors are open for all of us. If you share the values, which why as a dental care professional, who wouldn't to actually have that support from all groups. I love it. And I know that that is such a passion of yours, but I know there's another little passion. You have a beautiful little girl. So you are a busy president, mommy, dentist, everything. How are you balancing all this? Because I know as a president of a national organization as HDA, you are I'm pulling on your time. I know everyone needs a little piece of you, and you're working 5 days a week. How do you balance or find harmony? Because I know balance is not it's a wish, but
I play, it's a juggle. I guess you have to be a professional juggler. One thing that I read one time was the different balls that you juggle, some are plastic and some are glass. And you got to know that it's okay to drop the plastic ones and you got to focus on not dropping the glass ones. So sometimes I'm not going to make a meeting. Sometimes I'm not going to make a certain commitment. And I had to say it's okay.
Yeah.
A good support system helps too. I got someone over there keeping my daughter distracted on the other side of the house while I'm trying to put her to bed. So that keeps me sane too, having a good support system, a good hubby that make this possible too. But as in dental school for me, and my advice for students too was I took Fridays off. So I actually got married the summer after first year. I don't know how I planned wedding and my first year of dental school. But somehow that happened. And and so to keep it going, because you hear that in dental school too. My Fridays were my day with my husband. Those were our date nights. And so Fridays I knew the book shut as soon as I got home. That was my one day that I gave myself.
I love it. Yeah.
Trying to keep that to a little balance and harmony still.
It's important. It's important. We're multi-passionate and so many priorities. But I love the analogy of the juggling the glass and the plastic balls. I'll have to remember that myself. Well, I definitely don't want to keep you from that precious little girl. I just would like to end by knowing what's next for Dr. Meiners here. I know you've got so much this year during your tenure. What are some of your goals you have to leave? Either you have planned or to continue your legacy?
I'll just keep continuing what I'm doing. Trying to stay sane, balancing all of it too. Hopefully, expanding on our bold program, making these good collaborations and just trying to lead the organization. We have our annual meeting coming up in June. So I invite everybody to come. We're having some great courses, a great lineup, and it'll be right here in San Antonio. So it's a good summer vacation time too.
Yay. I can, that's where I did my residency. So it'd be nice to come visit.
Come back. We'd love to have
that. Great. That's great. Well, we wish you continued success. Thank you for your leadership and your example of just really a servant leader and all that you do. And I know our mentees are going to just continue to be inspired by you. But we wish you the best. And everyone, we just ask you that you continue to engage with us online, take a look at their episodes, subscribe to the channel, and then our podcast will be released soon as well. We have webinars coming up, giveaways for DAT prep resources. So you want to stay plugged in with that. And we wish everyone all the luck. And just remember, we did it, so can you. Thank you so much for your time. You have a great evening. Bye-bye.